everyone, and welcome to our educational session. My name is Paul Arsov, and I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web project. I'm going to talk about the project and several other projects that we are working on and released in the end of this presentation. But the topic today is China versus US, the long game or the profit obsession. So we'll start this presentation with a picture of a solar farm stretching across a sun-scorched plain, or aware of a drone lifting off from a suburban backyard. And this is a story of two nations and two visions of the future. One is China, a colossus that plays a patient, decades-long game, sacrificing short-term riches to plant its flag on the industries that will define tomorrow, like, for example, solar panels, electric vehicles, drones, robotics, artificial intelligence. The other is the United States, a titan of innovation, tethered to the quarterly pulse of Wall Street, where profit reigns supreme and the horizon rarely stretches beyond the next earning call. This is not merely a tale of economics, it's a clash of philosophies, a referendum on what it means to win in a world racing towards technological singularity. Imagine a factory in Shenzhen, its assembly line churning out solar panels at a price so low that it defies logic. The profit margin is a whisper, sometimes a loss, yet the machines keep humming. This is no accident. China's strategy is deliberate, ruthless, and breathtakingly patient. Backed by a lattice of state subsidies, cheap loans, and tax breaks, its companies flood global markets with affordable technology, undercutting rivals and rewriting the rules of competition. The goal is not today's balance sheet, but tomorrow's dominance, to capture market share, dictate standards, and render the world dependent on Chinese ingenuity. Take solar panels, for example. 2 decades ago, the US and Europe led the industry. Today, China produces over 80% of the world's supply. Its price is so low that competitors withered or fled. Or consider drones. DJI, a Chinese firm, commands 70% of the global consumer market. Its products ubiquitous, from Hollywood films sets to African farmland. This is not just business, it's geopolitics by other means. By making technology cheap and inescapable, China doesn't just sell products, it seeds ecosystems. A farmer in Kenya or a startup in Brazil adopts Chinese drones or solar cells, not because of ideology, but because the price is right. Over time, those choices lock in supply chains, standards, and influence. The patience is underwritten by a whole of a nation ethos. Beijing's industrial policies, like Made in China 2025, are not suggestions, but mandates aligning government, enterprises, and research institutes across a singular vision: technological self-sufficiency and global primacy. Losses today are investments in a future where China doesn't just compete, it dictates. Western CEOs might blanch at a decade of red ink, but for China, the return is measured not in dollars but in power. Contra- Contrast this with a boardroom in Silicon Valley or Detroit, where the air buzzes with quarterly earnings and shareholders' expectations. Here, profits is not a means, but the end, an unyielding metric that shapes every decision. American firms excel at innovation, uh, like Apple's sleek designs, Tesla's electric dreams, Nvidia's silicon wizardry. Yet their brilliance is tethered to a short-term leash. Investors demand margins, board demand growth, and executives often culled from the same elite schools. They chase the next valuation spike or a stock buyback. It is the paradox of Americans' capitalism. Its strength is in its agility, but its weakness is its myopia. When solar panels or drone production offered thin returns, US firms outsourced or abandoned production, chasing higher profits in software or branded hardware. The result? A hollowed-out manufacturing base and a reliance on global supply chains, many now anchored in China. Semiconductors, once America's pride, slipped as firms prioritize lucrative chips for smartphones over the gritty work of mass production. Batteries, the lifeblood of electric vehicles, followed a similar path, with China now controlling 70% of global capacity. Governments, too, play a different role. Where China wields subsidies like a scalpel, uh, the US leans on market liberalism, offering tax credits or research grants, but rarely steering industries with the precision done of Beijing's government. The CHIPS Act of 2022 hints at a shift, funneling big billions to reclaim semiconductor prowess, but it's a late response to a game China has been playing for decades. American firms, meanwhile, thrive on venture capital ethos. Build fast, scale fast, exit fast. It's a model that birthed Google and Amazon, but struggles against a rival willing to bleed for a long time to gain market share. The consequences of this duel spill far beyond factory floors. China's low-profit crusade has democratized technology in ways the world can't ignore. Solar panels that once cost thousands now power villages in India for a fraction of that. Drones, once military toys, map farmland in Colombia or deliver medicine in Rwanda, thanks to China's relentless pricing. This gift to humanity, a hastened green transition, a leap in connectivity, but it comes with strings. When one nation controls the supply, it controls the terms. The COVID-19 pandemic laid this bare. Mask shortages, ventilator delays, and rare earth bottlenecks revealed the fragility of dependence. For the US, the cost is subtler, but no less profound. Investors, spooked by low margins, pivot to sexier bets: AI startups, biotech unicorn, leaving strategic sectors to atrophy. The erosion isn't just economic, it is existential. A nation that outsources its industrial sinews risks losing the capacity to innovate at scale. China's standards are becoming global norms. Think 5G or EV charging protocols. The US finds itself a guest in ecosystems it once dominated and shaped. Beneath the spreadsheets lies a deep divide. China's approach is collectivist, a nation saga where individual firms are pawns in a grand chessboard. Profit bows to purpose. The state's ambition is the people's ambition. The US, by contrast, is a tapestry of individualism where corporate barons chase private glory and the government plays referee, not the coach. David Brooks once called this narcissistic elitism, a culture where short-term wins trump long-term stakes, where the common good bends to shareholder will. In the heart of America's Rust Belt, a decade um, of economic policies leave a desolate factory stands as a mute testament to a bygone era. Broken windows let in gusts of autumn wind, ruffling the vestiges of all paperwork still strewn across abandoned desks. This place once buzzed with the promise of well-paying jobs, forging steels, stamping automotive parts, and giving families hope of upward mobility. Yet today it is silent. Its story is America's story, once defined by relentless pursuit of short-term profits, outsourcing, and the triumph of narcissistic elitism. Standing in stark contrast on the other side of the world is China, where factories hum around the clock, churning out technologies that shape our modern lives: solar panels, consumer drones, electric vehicles, semiconductors, often sold at razor-thin margins. These margins in turn create an irresistible force that shape the global economic balance. Once upon a time, the American dream stood for possibility, a credo that with hard work and shared purpose, a person could achieve a comfortable life. That shared ethos drove monumental achievements, from building railroads to electrifying cities. Over time, though, the indices for success narrowed to the next quarter earning, the next stock buyback, to the next ballooning corporate valuation. In boardrooms from Manhattan to Silicon Valley, profit became the yardstick by which all else was measured. This is where narcissistic elitism took hold. A meritocratic class, as Brooke argues, that prides itself on efficiency and innovation, yet often forgets the communities that those very innovation disrupts or these places. For these elites, armed with Ivy League degrees and occupying plush sea-level suits, the world is a spreadsheet, and the impetus is clear: reduce costs, maximize shareholders' returns, and secure the next quarter windfall. It is a mindset that spurs corporate behemoths to offshore manufacturing and import cheaper goods, gratified by the surge in earning reports even as Main Street factories shutter. It is also a mindset that divorces moral obligation from economic calculus, leaving a vast social cost unaccounted for, measured for in lost jobs, lost dignity, and lost hopes. Across the Pacific, in a sprawling industrial park near Shenzhen, workers operate machineries as part of China's ever-expanding plan. Here, bright LED lights reflect on endless assembly lines, producing affordable drones, solar panels, electric vehicles, and the next wave of consumer electronics. Beijing's strategy is not solely driven by profit in the narrow sense. It is infused with a national vision of technological ascendancy, um, intentionally backing companies that will accept slimmer gains or even short-term losses in pursuit for long-term dominance. In the industries like solar energy, Chinese firms deliberately dropped prices so that so low that foreign rivals found it difficult to remain profitable. The result: a dramatic drop in the cost of solar power worldwide, fostering a renewable energy boom that has aided in global efforts to combat climate change. Consumers and governments alike benefit from cheaper, accessible technology, but China also reaps strategical advantages, controlling supply chains, setting technical standards, and deterring the kind of domestic investment in competitors that once fueled industrial might in places like the America Rust Belt. Researchers like David Brooke warns that our society has reduced morality to a personal affair, one in which the sole measure of worth can become the monthly profit and loss statement. We have relinquished the sense of shared responsibility that once underpinned the American project. The narcissistic elite that runs our corporations and writes our laws has, as Brooks puts in, rigged a meritocratic game in favor of its own. It is a self-reinforcing feedback loop. Top executives earn astronomical compensation packages, boards demand higher returns, and the easiest path often involves curtailing domestic manufacturing and relocating productions to whichever corner of the globe offers the cheapest labor and the minimal environmental oversight. Uh, so what is the road ahead? Standing at the crossroad, the deserted factory in the Rust Belt and the bustling production line in Shenzhen symbolize two distinctive philosophies of progress. One is fixed on short-term returns, anchored by the demands of quarterly earnings, and the other uh, often insular worldview of high finance. Uh, the other is built on the notion that lower margins and patient state-backed investment can eventually dominate a global sector. In the hush of that factory emptiness, you can almost hear an echo of what may have been a time when American communities and business walked in moral step, giving workers not just wages but also a sense of belongings. In the clamor of Shenzhen assembly lines, uh, you glimpse an alternative horizon, an economic nationalism that, for all its flaws, invests deeply in the tools of tomorrow. The moral and economic tension between these two models is not just a clash of corporate strategies, there are contests of values, uh, who we are, how we live, and what future we bequeath to the world. To break free of our narcissistic elitism is to acknowledge that unbridled pursuit of profit can bankrupt more than a bottom line. It can bankrupt the hope and dignity of entire generations. Yet, hidden in the quiet corners of abandoned factories, in the ingenuity that still sparks in startup labs, lies the promise of another way, one where commerce serves communities as well as shareholders, where moral convictions shape economic decisions, and where the greatest profit is measured not just in dollars but in lives meaningfully uplifted. If America can find that moral North Star again, it may yet reclaim the vision that once fueled its greatest accomplishments and kindle a new American dream that stands for shaped prosperity in an increasingly interconnected world. And with this said, I'm ending this educational presentation, and I'm coming back to the beginning of this presentation when I told you that my name is Paul Arsov and I'm the founder of the Decentralized Web project. In this project, we built a decentralized communication and advertising platform. It is monetized through advertising, as I just mentioned, and we have our blockchain instance, which rewards tokens for users joining our platform. It gives tokens to users, to existing users on our platform who invite other users, and it rewards users on our platform who are viewing advertising, which is in our way very, very permissive. The user can request start viewing advertising, and they view advertisement page by page by confirming going to the next page. And for this, as I just mentioned, they are rewarded with tokens. But our view of decentralization in this decentralization communication advertising platform is different than the meaning put by blockchain technology. We view blockchain technology as fundamentally flawed and unsuitable to drive decentralization, and in our implementation of decentralization, decentralization is done by direct communication from user to user without going through a third party, namely a server, or a central point which collects information and then it distributes back to the users. Once again, we allow only direct communication from user to user without going through a server or a central point collecting information. With this said, I like to tell you the URL and the name of the website of this project. It is decentralizedweb.org. Decentralized and web, these are two words and they're typed all together. Decentralized web. Then there is dot and it ends with org. With this said, I'm going to the next project, and in this project we built marketplace and collection of non-fungible tokens or NFTs based on three-dimensional objects. With three-dimensional objects, there has to be a special engine which reads the 3D object file, and then it displays this 3D object file, and then it could manipulate this 3D object through the window it did open. But from the very beginning, we did decide to build our own 3D software engine instead of relying on commercially available game engines like, for example, Unity or Unreal. Our 3D software engine allows loading of the 3D object file in a window and then animating the 3D object in a way of moving it in a random fashion around the window it did open. But in addition to these basic capabilities, our 3D software engine has multiple additional capabilities. The first additional capability of our 3D software engine is the capability of speaking. Our 3D NFTs can speak in one of three different voices: a male voice, a female voice, or a whisper kind of a voice. In addition to the three basic voices, there are three different flavors of voices. A voice can be spoken in a normal speed, or in a fast speed, or in a slow speed manner. The next additional and important capability is voice recognition, done by our 3D software engine. If we have a 3D NFT which is animated in a random fashion, then we can issue our very first voice command to it to stop moving, and then the 3D NFT is going to stand still and stop moving. We can issue following voice commands to the 3D NFT to move left, move right, move up, move down, zoom in, zoom out, rotate. And then the 3D NFT is going to fulfill each one of these separate voice commands. The next additional and important capability of our 3D software engine is the capability of them having a basic artificial intelligence. Wow, really wow. You can ask the 3D NFT what is your name, and then the 3D NFT is going to reply with their name. You can ask the 3D NFT who are you, and then the 3D NFT is going to reply in few sentences of who they are. You can ask the 3D NFT to describe something, and then the 3D NFT is going to describe, for example, what is Web3, or what is decentralization, or the country, what is the country called Russia. The last additional but not least important capability of our 3D NFTs is the capability of them being displayed in a way of stereoscopics. What stereoscopics means is that part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in red or reddish colors, and another part of the 3D NFT is going to be displayed in blue or cyan colors. Then you can go to our 3D NFT marketplace website, and now is the time to tell you the name and the URL of this website. It is 3dnft.decentralizedweb.org. 3dnft is typed in the way of the number 3 followed by the letter D followed by 3 other letters NFT, and it is typed all together 3D NFT. Then there is dot, then there are two words typed all together, decentralized and web. Then there is dot and it ends with org. Once again, 3dnft.decentralizedweb.org. On the top of the main page and every other page, there are a number of links. One of these links point to a link to accessories. When you click on this link, you're going to see that we are offering special glasses. When you click and order one pair of these glasses, you're going to see that one lens of these glasses is red and the other lens of these glasses is blue cyan. Then you can put these glasses on. You can request the 3D NFT, displaying the 3D NFT in a way of stereoscopics, and then you're going to see the 3D NFT coming out of the flat two-dimensional computer screen, and you're going to see it in real 3 dimensions. With this said, I like to mention about our 3D NFT marketplace. In our 3D NFT marketplace, we have our own blockchain instance as well. And this blockchain instance runs the same software which runs the Ethereum mainnet, runs the Binance Smart Chain, it runs on Polygon Matic Chain, it runs on Avalanche Avax Chain, and it runs on many other famous or not so famous blockchains in existence. By having our own blockchain instance, then we do not charge gas fees for the for deploying of the smart contracts for the non-fungible tokens and for the transactions of transfer of ownership from one user to another user. By having our own blockchain instance as well, we allow buying and receiving proceedings from sale in multiple crypto coins. Currently, the choice of crypto coins include Solana Sol, Polygon Matic, Avalanche Avax, and Qcoin, which is a big centralized crypto exchange. They have a coin called KCS. But we have second parallel and independent way of buying and selling 3D NFTs, and it is done entirely in fiat currency. So let's say you come to our 3D NFT marketplace, you browse through our collection of 3D NFTs, and you like one 3D NFT that you want to purchase. You're going to present it with a drop-down menu which is asking you to choose a method for purchase and payment, and which lists 4 different crypto coins and a 5th choice of paying with fiat currency. So when you click on the button, when you select payment with fiat currency and click on the button to advance next, you're going to be presented with a screen where you have to put the number of your debit or credit card, expiration date, and CVC. And when you click to complete this transaction, what is going to happen is there's going to be a transaction and transfer and conversion from your national fiat currency, which could be different than US dollars, and the payment is going to be converted to US dollars and deposited in our bank account. Then we are going to follow this with a transaction and transfer of initial ownership from our 3D NFT marketplace to you, and now you become owner of this 3D NFT. Then you can play play with the 3D NFT for a while, and you can decide to put this 3D NFT for sale uh, on our marketplace. Let's say there's a second user coming to our 3D NFT marketplace. They come to purchase. Uh, they come to view 3D NFTs, and they like to purchase in particular the 3D NFT that you put for sale. They're going to go through the same motions of selecting between payment with crypto and paying with fiat currency. So let's say they select payment with fiat currency, and on the next screen they put their number of debit card or credit card or CVC expiration date, and when they click the button to complete the transaction, there's going to be a conversion from their national fiat currency, which could be different than your national fiat currency and different than US dollars, and the payment is going to be converted to US dollars and deposited in our bank account. Then we are going to follow this with the transaction and transfer of the ownership from you to the second user, and now the second user is owner of this 3D NFT. Then we are going to do a transaction and transfer and conversion from US dollars to your national fiat currency, and the payment for the sale for the 3D NFT is going to be deposited in your bank account in your national fiat currency. With this said, I'm ending talking about this project, and the next project we are having is a project about building charging products for electric vehicles. We estimate that the number of electric vehicles is going to grow exponentially up, and the way electric vehicles are charged is going to become sufficient because currently besides electric vehicle owners living in houses charging EVs in their house, the other way for charging electric vehicles is at charging stations, which are modeled in a similar way as the gas stations for vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles. With this set, we are going to build products, and we built this product specifically to be mounted in the parking lots of owners of electric vehicles living in, for example, residential buildings, which has a ground floor parking lot or multiple underground floors of parking lots. So the owner of this electric vehicle, when they come in the evening from work in this at their home in this residential building, then they can connect the electric cable to to a parking lot outfitted with the kinds of products that we are building, and they could start charging electric vehicles during the evening, during the night, and early morning while they're at home. But in the same way, owners of electric vehicles may be working in high-rise office buildings, and these high-rise office buildings could be outfitted with the type of products that we are building, so that the owner of electric vehicle, when they come for work in this high-rise office building, they could start charging their electric vehicle during the morning, during the afternoon, and early evening while they're at work. With this set, I like to tell you the name and the URL of the website of this project. It is power.rstack.com. Power is the ordinary word for power. Then there is dot, then there is a word which I can spell it letter by letter. It is Alpha Romeo Sierra Tom Echo Charlie Hotel. Altogether rstack, and then there is dot and it ends with com. Once again, power.rstack.com. On the main page, you can see that we put links to 3 different surveys. You can click and fill each one of these 3 different surveys, one of which is about hardware, the other one is about software, and the third one is about features. And we also put a link to article called gas station model versus parking lot model, which you can click and you can see and read in very big details about the kind of products that we're building and the kind of purpose and features that it can provide, not only for end users, owners of electric vehicles, but to the electric distribution companies and utilities, energy producers. With this said, I'm going to the next project, and this project built a site and artificial intelligence agents, and currently there are 2 different artificial intelligence agents which are based on different large language models. They're based on also their own gender, their own avatar, and their own voice with which they're speaking. The user can request the beginning of an interaction between these two different AI entities, and then you could just observe and enjoy this interaction between these 2 entities. But what an interaction, what an example of interaction could be. For example, you can request the first AI entity to have a female gender, female voice, female avatar, and you can request it to be very seductive. Then you can type for the second AI entity to have a male gender, male avatar, male pitch, and male voice, and male voice pitch. And you can request this second AI entity to be very angry. Then when you start this interaction, you can see that the first AI entity is trying to seduce the second AI entity, and then the second male AI entity is responding in an angry fashion to the first AI entity, first female AI entity, which is trying to seduce the male entity. And with this said, I like to tell you the name and the URL of the website of this project. It is ai2ai.decentralizedweb.org. AI to AI is typed in the way of the letter A, followed by the letter I, followed by the number 2, followed by 2 other letters A and I. Then there is dot, then there are 2 words, decentralized and web, and they're typed all together. Then there is dot and it ends with org. Once again, AI to AI dot decentralizedweb.org. On the top of With this said, I like to go to the last project that we're working on, and this project builds automation agents, which could be also outfitted with artificial intelligence. And these automation agents, they are looking to your uh, actions one by one. They're recording these actions, and then you can label these actions as and make these actions single entity. And then the next time you uh, call and say this label, then this automation agent is going to go uh, automatically through step by step, reaching to the final step and asking you for confirmation to complete this specific request that you made. But what this request could be, this request could be like buying a specific food item from a specific food store or number of stores, or buying a ticket for a concert event or a show from a specific venue, or buying an airplane ticket for a specific destination, um, here going through number of airlines that you like to check, and going through a range of dates and times that you like to have this airplane ticket. With this said, I like to mention that there's some similarity between projects like Atlas browser released by a company called OpenAI, and this Atlas browser automates actions done in a web browser. And with this said, I like to end this presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. Have a nice day. Have a nice evening, and goodbye.